Is going to be the ball game. 6, 5, 4, 3. They can't snap it. They can't stop it. They can't win it. Alabama wins the ball game.
Darian Thomas, linebacker, Alabama.
He was a nightmare for people that had to try to prepare for him because he had unique skills.
Just go get the quarterback. I felt sorry for some of those poor tackles that came in and had to go against him because they didn't realize what they were getting themselves into.
Hey, baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
Son, I got to do this.
Lights out.
Sacking the cornerback is just like you devastate a city, or you cream a multitude of people. I mean, it's just like you put all the offensive players in one bag, and I just take a baseball bat and beat on the bag. So each time he came over there, I tried to tear his damn head off.
Let's play some football. Let's play some football.
The pressure is on. This is Off the Edge on Tide 100.9.
Focus on what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. Think about that. Don't think about how you feel, how tired you are, how hot it is. You got to push yourself on the field like when you're playing football.
It's my honor to present the national championship trophy to Coach Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide.
To me, this is the ultimate team. All these guys bought into everything they needed to do to be the best players that they could be. There's more togetherness on this team than almost any team that we've ever had. And they had to overcome and persevere so much adversity through this season, and they've done it magnificently. And I'm so proud of this group for what they've been able to accomplish and going undefeated and winning the national championship.
Streaming live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and the Tide 100.9 app. Here is your host of Off the Edge, Jacob Harrison.
Your man overthrown. Spit out the ball.
Hello there. Good morning. Welcome in to Off the Edge, Tide 100.9, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. Jacob Harrison here with you. Kim Rankin, Joe Gaither behind the board, and set to have some fun today. It's a good day. It's a good week to have a bye week, So we'll dive into some of the other things that are going around in the world of college football. We'll poke some fun at Bryan Harsin here in a little bit for being hard-headed and stubborn and all those sorts of things. Praise Mac Jones for being the Bama Pro of the Week, and dive into what's been going on in the early portions of his young NFL career. And a couple other things. We'll focus on the Crimson Tide as well as we usually do. Of course, though, got to remind you, the show is always streams live on the Tide 100.9 app, as well as on all of your social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, directly at Off the Edge 109. But you can also find the stream through the Twitter account as well at Off the Edge 109, through my Twitter account, through Tide's Twitter account. You can find it pretty much anywhere that is related to Tide 100.9 and myself. So get the search engines rolling. Like, share, subscribe, all those great things that really helps the show out. And of course, Alabama Vintage, they get the job done at Alabama VTG on the Instagram account. They've got it all there for you, whether it's, you're prepping for LSU hate week, you getting a head start on that a little bit with the bye week, or if you're just prepping for the colder weather that's coming in here. It feels amazing, but if you need a new starter jacket, a new sweater, or you need something to just keep you a little bit warm, but remind you of the good times, of the older good times of the Alabama Crimson Tide, it's all there at Alabama Vintage. So go check them out. 2210 University Boulevard, under the crimson awning across from City Hall. So Bryan Harsin, right? Come on, my guy. Come on. So this isn't, this has been a couple of days now, but you look around and plenty of people are finding a way to clown the guy. And listen, I've said it before. It is a choice. It is a choice to choose to be vaccinated or not. And it truly is. Okay. That being said, you reserve the right to make dumb decisions too. And one of the dumb decisions that you can make relative to this is not necessarily not getting the vaccine, although, personal opinions aside. With Bryan Harsin, here's the problem. You are a public figure. And that doesn't mean you have to disclose all your personal information. No. But it does mean that you can make things a little bit easier on everybody if you're willing to tell us whether or not you're going to comply with your employer's mandates, with your employer's rules, because we've seen it already in college football up there in Wazoo. They fired their head coach mid-season. They didn't care. Now, listen, that's ridiculous. I like the December 8th deadline a little bit better, gives time for everybody to make their decisions and calculate what's important and go on and do those sorts of things. But with Harsin, man, listen, there's a point of standing up for what you believe in that I can respect. And then there's a point of hard-headedness because you haven't done a bad job at Auburn. You haven't. I mean, here I am, during the bye week, having to talk about your school and having to praise them as I talk about them. You've done a good job. Bo Nix, he's playing some of his best football right now. You've sparked the fire to get that out of him and get him to play like the Bo Nix that was expected. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, you've got to do PSAs and you got to advocate for this and that and the other. I don't care. And I'm not going to, sit here and compare you to Nick Saban because clearly your views are different. Now, should it all come down to political views? No. This isn't a political show. What it does come down to is just having the wherewithal to just speak bluntly on things. Because I'll tell you the same thing with Brian Flores and the Miami Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa. Bro, if you're not committed to Tua, say so. And if you're not going to pursue Deshaun Watson, say so, because we've seen it, right? We've heard out of the Denver Broncos camp and we've heard out of the Carolina camp, they're not pursuing Deshaun Watson. Now, that may change. That may just be something to, to smoke up the room a little bit and make it difficult to see, what they're going to do. But the Dolphins don't turn that down at all. So it leads into people thinking things about you that maybe aren't even real, right? I'm not going to sit here and call Bryan Harsin an anti-vaxxer and put on my lib cap and annoy all of you and annoy and spread false things about him. That would be ignorant. That would be the same side of the coin, right? That's not the point of this. The point is that you are a public figure. And you have something that is before you that can determine whether or not you keep your job. And all it takes is just being open about the situation. You are not entitled to this kind of privacy. And to believe so is to think, that A, you're too special for this whole thing. And B, just it shows a hard-headedness and a stubbornness. You already did this thing with the caps, right? With the hats. So clearly you don't understand what a journalist's job is, right? And a journalist's job is to be unbiased and to not, take in those kind of gifts and then to also poke and prod and ask questions that you're not necessarily privy, nor do you want to answer the question, right? Saban didn't want to answer a question about Jai Hall last week. He answered it. He tiptoed around the bush a little bit, but he still gave us a useful answer so that we could, derive some information and put a story out so that we can do our jobs. Mike Tomlin asked about the USC opening and his name being linked in rumors. And then it kind of catches on fire a little bit, right? It was the duty, even though the Pittsburgh media reporter that asked the question to Tomlin knew the kind of response he was going to get and knew what the answer was going to be, but it's still the duty and the job of that guy to ask, whether you like it or not, Mike, whether you like it or not, Pittsburgh fans that think the media is out to get Mike. It's the reality of what we do as media. You don't always have to like it. So you're going to be asked those questions, and it's not a matter of privacy when your job's at stake, right? The whole thing, first of all, a lot of us are just done with this pandemic. Like, we're just ready to move past it. But the ignorance of saying, "Oh, I'm not going to disclose my vaccine information," like, sure, you're entitled to your privacy when you're not a public figure. And I'm sorry, that's just the way it is when your job's on the line. So I'm ready to be done with this. I don't know about everybody else. I'm ready to be done with it. And I don't want to have to get on my radio show and talk about Bryan Harsin just because he's the rival team and talk about freaking vaccines. It ain't got nothing to do with sports. The only reason it even becomes a topic I'm willing to go into is because it has to do with his job and how he interacts with the media. Gives us an insight as to what, his job status could be. Because could you imagine Auburn at that state? They have a good season to build off a first-year head coach that nobody knows his name. There's plenty of people that still don't know how to spell the Bryan in it. There's plenty of people who still call him, rightfully so, Wikipedia coach. Like, he's doing a good job now. And you're saying over a vaccine that's simply implicated to try to save a couple of lives, he's willing to possibly either stake the fact I'm the football coach and you're not firing me because I'm the football coach, or stake hard-headedness and arrogance against that. I wouldn't want that guy to be my head coach anyway. It's days like today, I'm glad Nick Saban is my football team's head coach. That I cover a team whose head coach has just a tad bit more sense and is a little bit more savvy with the media. Not that I agree with his views. It's just that he is open and makes sense. He'll leave you in the dark about things, but he'll give you enough to go on. I mean, would I like to go to practice? Yeah, sure. But, if there's an injury we need to know about, we know about it, right? You know where Nick Saban stands on things. And he answers the questions, even if he doesn't really want to, because it's a symbiotic relationship. We have a job to do, so does he. It's part of your responsibility as the leader of a program that draws in millions of dollars, my guy. Just handle your business. That's all I'm saying. Handle your business. Like Marshawn Lynch would say, protect your chicken, right? Do what is necessary. Football coaches love to say things like, "Oh, you got to do it, even if you don't like to." The irony. Oh, the irony. We'll take a break, though. We'll come back. We'll talk about much cooler things, I promise. We'll talk about football. We'll talk about Mac Jones and how impressive he has been through the first 7 weeks of his young NFL career, and put it into perspective. We'll put it into perspective. He is playing like the best rookie in the NFL, but there's a couple reasons for that. You always got to put it in perspective. I'm Jacob Harrison. This is Off the Edge. Tide 100.9, your home for Alabama sports.
But we have a truck leaving with a big order on Tuesday.
Tina's floor manager retired, leaving her tortilla factory flat out.
What do you mean she's on a silent retreat?
She must fill the role and all those orders.
Who's gonna oversee production?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Schedule virtual interviews and talk to candidates right from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Has the pandemic affected your business? Even with more and more customers going online in the past 5 years, online business has grown greatly due to the pandemic. Now more than ever, it's important to have a strong online presence so that customers can find your business and products easily. That's where Townsquare comes into help. Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free competitive analysis to see how your business stands up to the competition. And if you're one of the first to sign up, you'll get $500 in free advertising on this radio station. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
Tuscaloosa Tire and Service. They've got the big brands you know and trust. Goodyear, Firestone, Bridgestone, Cooper, and they can finance for you as well. When you need routine maintenance and alignment, a tune-up, Whatever it is, belts, hoses, just basic stuff, or when you don't know what's wrong with your car, truck, or SUV, make it Tuscaloosa Tire and Service. They're dependable, they're trustworthy. That's why they've lasted for over 36 years. Skyland Boulevard, McFarland Boulevard East in Northport on Lurleen Wallace Boulevard. Check out the website, TuscaloosaTireAndService.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Clouds increasing this afternoon. Tuscaloosa's high 74. Cloudy tonight. Rain moving in. Most of that rain coming after midnight. The low at 56. Tomorrow, cloudy, noticeably cooler. Some light rain at times with a high at 64. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 65 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
We aren't going anywhere. Off the Edge is available in the podcast center on Tide100.9.com.
You like this song too, huh, Kim? I thought I outlawed this one. It's all good. Welcome back. We're here on Off the Edge Tide 100.9, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide sports. So before we talk about Alabama and what I want to see them do on the bye week, I do want to talk about Mac Jones and the work that he has put in to be really and truly the best rookie quarterback in the NFL. It's really shocking, to be honest, that he's been able to do what he's done, because not because of a lack of talent on his part. Really and truly, it's because of just the Patriot way. The fact that he's even out there is shocking enough to me. The fact that it's not Mac Jones, or excuse me, not Cam Newton, surprises me enough. But what doesn't surprise me is that he's completing 70% of his passes, and that he's not necessarily lighting up the world. He's being efficient. He's still taking that same old approach of you can't go broke taking a profit. And listen, that's been the Patriot way for a long time, right? A lot of people misconstrue that Tom Brady made his career off of nickel and diming, but half the reason he's so successful is because he nickeled and dimed when he had to, when it was necessary. He didn't force plays. If he didn't have Randy Moss, down the field, he wasn't chunking it down to the field to a guy, who wasn't going to win that 50-50 ball. Mac Jones is the same way. And I think in perspective, though, you do have to look at the fact that Trevor Lawrence is not in a great situation. Zach Wilson's in the worst situation there with the Jets. Justin Fields is behind a terrible offensive line that can't give him enough time to make a play. And Trey Lance is not necessarily, he's not the quarterback, first of all, for the 49ers, but he's also not ready to be. A lot of people want to say, oh, he's ready to be a quarterback now. No, bro, he played against the FCS and he looked really good. That doesn't translate to being ready when you've played one full season of football. It's not at all how this works. There's a reason that, when we joke about, oh, this guy could go straight from high school to the NFL. No, he couldn't. Not without waiting a couple of years. You're not mature enough. You're not big enough. You're not strong enough. All those extra sorts of things. That's the thing with Mac Jones, though. He's older than all those guys. He hasn't played more football than all of them. Trevor Lawrence obviously has played way more. Zach Wilson played more. Justin Fields played more. But he's older than all those guys, has a lot of experience and how to prepare for a football game, how to get mentally right for a football game. Maybe not on the field experience, but as far as just managing and taking care of things and being a leader, he's learned how to do all those things. And that's why I think he's being so successful. Split side of that has a lot to do with the fact that New England has a good offense. So you guys want to admit it or not. New England has a good rushing attack, even if a lot of people don't want to admit it. Damian Harris isn't a long-term answer there, but he's having an incredible season. As far as the wide receivers go, they're trash, but you got two great tight ends. Now they don't always want to perform like two great tight ends. They usually want to just be one at a time. But Hunter Henry has been playing pretty well all season too. So I think, while the team success comes down a lot to Bill Belichick in certain situations and his decisions, and also just inexperience on Mac Jones's part, I still think he's done a lot to prove a lot of his doubters wrong. And not just in being, an effective NFL quarterback. Like a lot of people thought, even if they were detractors, like, okay, he's going to be all right, but is he going to be better than Kirk Cousins? Is he going to be better than Andy Dalton? Is he going to rise above that halfway point? I don't know that he will. I hope that he will. It'd make me right about a lot of things, but I think right now he's playing about as well as those guys, even if his numbers don't add up. Because newsflash, Kirk Cousins is throwing to Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. He's going to have good seasons. He's also got Dalvin freaking Cook behind him. Like, the Vikings are a good football team that are still struggling because Kirk Cousins isn't good. So I think with Mac Jones, you have to temper expectations a little bit. This still is barely a playoff team, but it's in that position because of him. Because I think if it was Cam Newton, that would not be the case. It'd be like a 5-12 team, I think, possibly. Whereas with Mac, while they could very easily still go 5-12, I don't think that's really remotely the case. It's more of a 8-9 kind of team. Maybe 9-8 if they perform, if they start to win these bigger games. So they do have a tough schedule. This week they play in Los Angeles against the Chargers. Michael Bronner thinks that they're going to absolutely destroy them. Hilarious. You're going to lose to Justin Herbert, Cam. I'm sorry. He's pretty good. He's got weapons. Michael Bronner laughed off Keenan Allen yesterday off the air. I'm not scared of him. You're hilarious. But with Mac, he still gives you the best chance to win, and he's still playing incredible football. He's playing efficient football. Now, he's not going to win, he's not going to win Rookie of the Year. Okay. Jamar Chase is a thing, but he's at least closer in that conversation than the rest of the rookie quarterbacks. Again, with the perspective that he's got a better situation around him, the Patriots still aren't a great football team. They're an okay, average football team, but they're still not great. And he's still performing well enough to keep them in these games. Almost beat the Cowboys, almost beat the Bucks. Like they're just a handful of points away from being 5-2, right? That's kind of bizarre in a way. But it speaks to how efficient he is and how well he's playing in those big games. And, he learns how to be that kind of guy here at Alabama, and playing with a lot of great talent gives him the confidence in the guys who maybe aren't quite as talented. And I think you see a confidence that lives in him that right now doesn't live in like Tua Tagovailoa, right? Mac Jones knows he's good. And Mac Jones knows that he's getting better each and every week. And I think that's what kind of brings New England into that playoff conversation. With the Dolphins struggling the way they are. The AFC North is on fire, but the AFC West is in shambles. So you've AFC South is what it is. You've got an opportunity to take advantage of that seventh playoff spot. And, who knows? Mac Jones might be the first quarterback out of this class to go to the playoffs. It kind of rests in his hands a little bit. And if he continues to improve on that scale, 9 touchdowns through 7 games, you need a little bit more than that. We understand the talent that's around you, but the next step for him will be becoming a playmaker. The next step for him will be becoming a guy that is capable of not just managing the team, but creating for the team. And that doesn't necessarily mean scrambling for first downs, although he did do that against the Jets, and that's one of the funniest things I saw all weekend. It's about being more than just effective. It's about climbing into that next realm of being a guy that the team counts on to bring them out. That the team counts on, not hopes that you can do it, but counts on. That's where the difference lays with whatever. That's where the difference is with guys like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger and Russell Wilson. Like, you count on those guys to bring you out of those situations, and when they don't, you say, okay, well, the other team got the best of them tonight. You know, when it's a guy that you're hoping that can do that, it's a little bit of when he doesn't. You know, like, come on, man, we thought you were ready to take this on. You're in the NFL. You've been playing well when the time, has been a little bit more lax. What are you doing? So far, Mac has been very reliable in those situations, though. Whether it was against the Cowboys or the Bucs, those are the two best examples. Helping the Patriots put up 50 points. The only team to put up 50 points. And yeah, it was against the Jets. Michael pointed this out to me too. Jets hadn't given up 30 points all season, despite being as terrible as they are. Now, they were without CJ Mosley. That's one guy, though. That's not the difference in 23 points, right? So, all things being considered, I like the direction that Mac Jones is going in. Another thing that I think that he has helped his case with, I think his arm is stronger than it was last year. I do. He's prone to the rookie mistake. He's prone to thinking he can do things that he clearly can't. But there was that one play that made the rounds on Twitter where this is the exact same play. You can tell that this was a play that belongs to Josh McDaniels. This is the same exact play as one that Tom Brady ran later in the day. It was a deep shot on a fade route, opposite hash, right? So they're both on the near hash on the television. Launch it downfield, same yardage, same timing, same everything. The plays were exactly the same against the same coverage too, I think. And drops it right in the bucket for a huge gain that puts him, on the 3 or 4 yard line. Those are the kind of things that a lot of people said he could not do. Now, is he going to drive a 12-yard out route from the opposite hash? Probably not. Can you win football games without doing that? Clearly. He's won a lot of football games without having to do that. And, a lot of people get bent out of shape with the opposite hash thing too, because in college, the hashes are ridiculously larger, right? Ridiculously wider. In the NFL, they're very narrow. So it doesn't really matter what hash you're on. It gives you just a tad bit more space. But either way, he's still able to fit in some things that a lot of people think he can't do. And it's good to see that he's reaching a space where he can become more than what people expected out of him. And he's well on his way to doing it. And it's exciting to see. Now, if Tua can garner the respect that he deserves and Jalen will get some play calling that'll help him out, then you got 3 great quarterbacks from the University of Alabama running this league. The other 2, not in quite as good of situations. As I said, the Dolphins would just come out and say that they're not interested in Deshaun Watson specifically, things would probably go a little bit better there. But none of us have any confidence that Tua is going to be the quarterback in Miami next year. So we may not get this 10-year rivalry between Tua and Mac, and that would be an absolute shame. So let's not get to that point, Dolphins. Let's not. We'll take a break, come back, continue the conversation, talk about what Alabama needs to do during their bye week here on Off the Edge, Tide 100.9, your home for Alabama sports.
Don't miss a play at the Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Your front row seat to all the action. Place bets on all professional and most college sports at the counter, kiosk, or on your phone. Then catch the game on one of our 20 big screens from the comfort of the newly remodeled Timeout Lounge. Plus, the PRR Sports app gives you access to live, in-play sports betting. Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Be more than a fan. Be a player. Must be 21.
Van the Bootman here, inviting you to shop the great selection of Carhartt products at both locations of Irvin's. We have many styles of Carhartt logo tees, as well as some new colors in both Carhartt loose fit, heavyweight pocket tees, and the ever popular Force Relaxed Fit midweight tees in both long and short sleeves. Irvin's also has a nice selection of Carhartt hoodies for both men and women. While shopping at Irvin's, don't forget to check out all the new Carhartt caps and beanies in great new colors that you're sure to love. So remember, Carhartt at Irvin's, and tell them Van the Bootman sent you.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
In a collision, easy decision. One name, one firm, one call. Mesrano.
I made that one call to Mesrano after being hit by an 18-wheeler. He got me $875,000.
I made that one call to Mesrano after being T-boned on McFarland. He got me $125,000.
I made that one call to Mesrano after my fender bender. He got me $50,000.
One name, one call, one firm. Mesrano.
No representation made that quality of legal services to be performed is greater than quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Follow Off the Edge on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube for live streams and instant analysis. Off the Edge with Jacob Harrison continues.
Back here on Off the Edge, Tide 100.9, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide Sports, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. Listen, yesterday on Alabama Tradition, Ryan Fowler and I kind of extended the conversation a little bit about Alabama, what we want to see the Crimson Tide improve upon, as the season progresses. We've got 4 regular season games left in the year. And, the season's going by pretty quick. Yeah. What I want to see Alabama improve on is quite simple. It's focus and consistency, because they go hand in hand. The consistency aspect stems a lot from the fact that we've seen Alabama, we've seen the positions that I've been critical of, that everybody's been critical of, the middle linebackers, the right tackle, defensive backfield. All of these, we've seen glimpses of them play great, and we've seen glimpses of them not play great. We've seen the inconsistencies there, and that's what drives so much of the concern from the fan base, or the side of the fan base, I should say, that is concerned when they look ahead to Georgia. First of all, don't look ahead to Georgia. That'll solve a lot of problems. But secondly, the fact is that when we watch Chris Owens, we see him have a great game against Ole Miss. Then we see him have a not so great game against A&M. And then we see him have a great game against Tennessee. And it's like, whether or not those are games that he was great in or not, it's more of we see this up and down, right? What's the situation that's leading to you having good games? Henry Toto, Christian Harris. What is the difference between week 7 and week 8 in where you're able to crash the line of scrimmage and make tackles within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage? What's the difference in being able to do those things? What's the difference in the defensive backfield for most of the season being able to shut down pass happy teams, and then Tennessee kind of does their thing, right? See, we get bent out of shape, and we see Josh Jobe make one bad play, and we're like, Josh Jobe, man, let's just replace him. That's reactionary. It's not rational at all. I understand if you've been frustrated with Josh Jobe's play his entire career. I really can. But you also have to understand what is behind him. A true freshman. Okay? You have to weigh your options when you're thinking about replacing things. And I know that requires, thinking for longer than just a couple of seconds, but whether you want to fire Pete Golding or you want to fire Bill O'Brien or you want to replace players, like, first of all, you're being drastic. But second of all, who is going to replace them? Think about why Chris Owens has played every snap at right tackle. It's probably because there's no better option. It's probably why Chris Owens was moved to right tackle in the first place. It may not have been because of snap issues. It probably was. I don't think Nick Saban would lie to us. But it may have had more to do with the fact there just wasn't a reliable right tackle. It's a possibility. So why does Jordan Battle have to play out of position and play free safety? It's not a better option at free safety. You got better. You have serviceable options at strong safety. So let Jordan Battle play mostly free, right? And it's paid off. He's had the one play that he gave up, one explosive play that was on him. He had an opportunity to make the tackle, didn't make it. Got him down to the 8-yard line. Tennessee scored, right? But we can't immediately then go, oh, this is the worst safety tandem I've ever seen. Well, it's not great, but don't act like Daniel Wright and DeMarco Helms would start on 125 teams. Like, you're not going to have 99s across the board. You're not going to have perfect play out of everybody across the board. So even when I say I want to see more consistency, I want to see more focus, it's not about getting everybody to a ridiculous standard and holding them there and saying, you better not slip. It ain't about that. It's about knowing what you can get out of a guy. And 8 games into the season, we don't know if what we're going to get week in and week out of Chris Owens. We don't know what we're going to get week in and week out of the off-ball linebackers, right? And that's where a lot of concern for me comes out of. Because what if, for the next 4 games, those 3 guys play out of their mind, and then we get to Atlanta and they're not doing it no more, right? So I want to see this focus. I want to see this consistency. And on the focus side of it, when players are dialed in and they're focused on what's in front of them, doing their job, that's when I've seen this team be the most successful. So that's where I want to come from. I want to see this team be the best it can be. And if the best it can be at certain positions is like an 88 out of 100, then I'm fine with that. Just give me 88 every time. It's not about being perfect. It's never about being perfect with me. If you lose a game, it's okay. It's football. Losing is part of the sport. Somebody's got to do it. I hate it when it's us, but it's part of it. But as far as those guys, the ones that I've talked about, we've seen the consistency rise from John Mechie, right? We've seen the consistency rise from Jamison Williams, guys that you could count on. But then we've seen other guys dip back down, and it's like, can we rely on you when it matters? And there's a lot of guys where you can't. But there's a lot of guys where it's like, you're right there. You're right there. If we can just get you right to where we need you to be, then there's something there for us to count on when we're in a situation where we need you. And that's what I want to see. That's where I want to see this team really take in. It's more of a mental aspect than it is a physical. Physically, this Alabama team is ridiculous. Physically, this team can stand up with anybody, Georgia included. It's a mental thing. And don't come after that and say, oh, it's because they're soft and Nick Saban has to be soft on them. No. Everybody's gonna have a different mental attack for football. Players have to be coached differently. So it's a process for the coaches to understand how they got to reach these players and for these players to take in what the coaches give. Then it's a matter of leadership. How is the leadership implementing what the coaches say so that it makes more of an impact on the players? Because what a leader does on a football team, what a player as a leader does, impacts more than what a coach does more often than not. Can somebody take what the coaches are teaching and implement it and allow it to grow within the program? Those are the kind of things that we're looking for. Those are the kind of things that I want to see out of this football team. Get the mentals right. Once you do that, I think this team is well on the way where it wants to be. It's still going to be a struggle. Auburn's going to be a struggle. Georgia's going to be a struggle. This team is not going to dominate everybody it sees. It ain't the 2020 team. That was last year. Stop thinking about last year. This is this year's team. This year's team has to play football. This year's team has to play these games a little bit tighter. You'll get your joyless murder ball against New Mexico State. Take it and like it. It's about it. The rest of the way, you got to play a little bit. It is that's the way the sport is meant to be played. It ain't this ain't 1925 when you're playing high schools and you get away with beating guys 60-0 and then being crowned. Okay, this is about going out, getting in between the lines, and doing your job. Because you're supposed to expect that the other team's going to give you their best. And look at what the other team is doing. There's a lot of what happened on Saturday was because of what Tennessee was doing. And then when you finally took the life out of Tennessee, you were able to throw in some joyless murder ball there at the end, right? So you can get it. You may not get it for fourth quarters. You still play a very good football game for 4 quarters and win the game by 12 points, by 8 points, by 4 points. And then other times your talent will outweigh and you'll win the game by 50. Take what you get. A W is a W. Respect the win. Let's head out to the phone line. Welcome in Jeff from Tennessee. Jeff, what's going on, dude?
How's it going, guys? Don't tell me you're going to accept the loss. I know better than that.
I will.
Y'all lost Texas A&M, got the whole world in it. I don't want to hear that stuff. You just, well, it's a loss. It's all right. I don't even want to hear that in this. I don't want to hear that stuff. Y'all be, I mean, you lost Louisiana Monroe, what, in Saban's first year, second year. You lost Utah in the Sugar Bowl, so I don't want to hear that stuff. I don't want to hear it. Y'all just step lost, just move on. I mean, that's the biggest bunch of hooey that went down the pike, so I don't want to hear about that stuff. I don't even want to hear it. I mean, it's like Kentucky basketball. We don't accept losses either. We don't any sport really, to be honest. But men's basketball is when we don't accept losses. Of course, we had a bad year last year, first time in 30 years. So but we never have lost 20 games in the season in basketball either. So that's something we never have done. So, but we won't go there. But I guess Mississippi State's going to whip us this weekend. About 21 points. Or can't come back off that Georgia debacle.
You should be able to come back off of it. I would anticipate.
Well, I mean, Georgia's allowed 4 touchdowns this year. They scored 2 of them. That's that pretty good offense, I guess.
That's pretty good. I mean, you had to work for that last one now. 22 minutes.
What's that now?
So 22 plays, 12 minutes. You had to work for that last one.
I don't care if it took 55,000 plays we scored. I don't care if it took a week to score. We scored, didn't we?
Yeah.
It made no difference.
I agree.
It might take y'all 2 weeks to score against Georgia.
It might.
Still playing in January trying to score against them. So you might well. You might. What you need to worry about that defense. I wouldn't worry about that offense. You need to worry about stopping somebody. Of course, Mississippi State, you only allowed them 9 points, but the rest of the conference games, you've been allowed a lot of points. So I'd be worried about the defense. If I was you, get that defensive coordinator. Maybe he can talk with Georgia. Y'all come up with a game plan. Maybe y'all come up with something. Maybe y'all put y'all's heads together and see what y'all come up with. Of course, I know Saban's the greatest coach of all time. He don't never lose or he don't ever have a bad day or anything. I know you don't never. He's just perfect. He's just a perfect man. He just walks on water. At Alabama, is that true? He walks on water and stuff. You don't do nothing wrong, right? Is
No,
that true?
never.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. He walks on water. Stuff he don't do. He's just great for college football. Somebody said yesterday when he retires, it's going to be bad for college football and all this stuff. So I don't know, but he's got to retire sometime. He ain't coached forever. He's 70 years old, so he's like Coach K. He's going to have to retire sometime. So but I guess the NIL deals. I was going to ask you, did you see I don't know if a lot of Alabama football players have the NIL deals. A few Kentucky players, basketball player, but a football player, Wandale Robinson, he got an NIL deal with the Ford dealership in Lexington, one of the Ford dealerships. And Ty Washington, the freshman guard, got a deal with the Porsche dealership. He's got a Porsche riding around campus now, they say. And one of the softball players, Kentucky, got a deal with have you heard of Big League Chew?
Yeah.
The bubble gum. She got a deal with that. The Big League Chew NIL deal with that. There's two other players in the country, softball players that do. A player in Florida and a player out west, I think Washington or Washington State, somewhere like that. It's got big NIL deals with them. She said they contacted her to be a part of the NIL deal. They contacted her about it. Of course, she said yes. She was interested in stuff, of course, and everything. So, but I didn't know. Do you think the NIL is changing college sports? I don't hear too much about deals the players are getting.
I don't think it is. I think it's one of those things where over time, you're not going to see quite as many companies like Dr. Pepper taking a risk on DJ Uiagalelei. I don't think you'll see that quite as much. I think they're going to want to get it from established talents. But outside of that, I mean, it's just guys taking advantage of, what they can get, and it's not like it's a ridiculous amount of money. And for anybody that thinks that, these guys are worried about their NIL deals when they're on the field, then they've never played football. Because the only thing you're focused on is what you're doing. Even guys that want to play college football in high school, they're not thinking about their scholarships. They're thinking about what they got to do on the field.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, like the locker room issues, all the things that people were like, oh, it's going to ruin college football. It was baseless. It was just radio conversation, overreact, and a lack of thought. Really.
Well, the first thing somebody said, it might have been a former coach or somebody said when they started this NIL stuff, they said it's going to ruin the locker room. Some cat's going to have a deal such and such $, and these other people ain't going to have it. So it's going to be make people mad in the locker room. Ain't nobody going to want to fool with them. Ain't going to want nothing to do with them because they got a deal for such and such $. Like, I don't know, for example, 200,000, whatever. I ain't got one, so they say they're going to be in other sports, it don't matter, football, whatever it is, they're going to be jealous of them because they got the NIL deal and I don't, and all this stuff. But of course, like you said, I don't think it's all that big a deal. I think if they could find some way to do it where they could have the money after they graduate or something, I think that'd be a good thing for them as far as, because those people, I think, that get the NIL deals, I think most of them are going to just blow the money. I don't know what you think about that. I think most of them are just going to blow it. They're not going to try to save it or think about their future, because when you're 19, 20 years old, 21, you're not thinking about the future. You're not thinking about 25, 30 years from now. You're thinking about right now, today, what I can get today, and things like that. But no, I do want to ask you, what you think about? I saw yesterday where Mark Stoops was named. I think there's 20-something coaches named for the Bear Bryant Award. What you think about that?
It's well deserved, I think. Now listen, I think the coach that does the absolute best job should win the award, and sometimes that means who did the best job in recruiting to build up a team that can go win championships. But I also understand that the award is sometimes given to guys who just do a good job against the weight of the circumstances. And I'm not always crazy about that, but Mark Stoops being in contention for the award is a nod that he does deserve. I mean, if Kentucky goes like 11-1, then sure, yeah, absolutely, man, give him the award. Like that's insane. That's
let me you know who Mike Griffith is? Covers Georgia.
Yes.
Covers Tennessee.
Yeah.
You know who he is.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 years ago, when Kentucky won 10 games, they went 10-3. Of course, Stoops got coach of the year. The SEC, you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, he got coach of the year. You know response was when he got it?
I'm sure it wasn't positive.
No, let me tell you what he said. He said, "What is this, basketball?" That's the first thing out of his mouth. He said he voted for it. He voted for Saban. But the boy said Saban should have got it. Should have got a coach of the year.
Well,
because he said one time on a show or something. He said he votes for the guy that wins the league conference. Like SEC, whoever wins it, whoever like Saban or Smart, if Georgia wins it, he's gonna vote for Coach Smart for coach of the year. He ain't gonna vote for somebody like Stoops or anybody like that. That was his words. What is this basketball? What his words out of his mouth is, and all that stuff. So that, like I said, that right there, I'm telling you, is a disrespect that Mark Stoops gets from media, fans, and everybody else. The media outside of the state, not in state Kentucky, outside of state Kentucky. They don't like us. They always have. And Sankey don't like it either. Don't make no difference. Don't make no never mind. He's the worst commissioner in college sports. Need to get rid of him. Get that guy Warren down here. Big Ten, let him run that things for a while. Or let that OVC commissioner bet the Bush. Let her run things a while. See what we do with the SEC. But y'all hang in there, guys. And see if y'all can. See if there's a few more weeks of football, and y'all put them helmet and shoulder pads away. See if y'all can play some moves this year. Y'all hang in there now.
All right, Jeff, take it easy, dude. Jeff helping us out there from Tennessee. When it comes to the coach of the year thing, like I get annoyed with that because there's no good answer. Like you can't give it to Coach Saban every year just because he's the best coach. Like then it'd be pointless. Like it's the same thing as giving the NBA MVP to LeBron every year or to KD every, like. Yeah, sure, those guys are gonna swap it around, but it's like at some point, like you have to be able to acknowledge a guy for doing an incredible job, like Mark Stoops is doing. You go 11-1 with Kentucky, like that's incredible. That deserves to be acknowledged in some frame. But you can't just give it to the guy that wins the conference either, because if Kirby Smart was a better coach, he'd have a better offense, right? Like, he'd have recruited a better offense. He'd have better strength and conditioning programs, so his wide receiver quarter wouldn't be completely depleted. If Nick Saban was a better coach, this defense wouldn't constantly have problems, right? So who do you give it to? I think Mark Stoops makes a lot of sense. Now you got to finish the job. I mean, there's 4 weeks to go. We ain't done yet. We'll take a break. We'll come back, close it down here on Off the Edge. Tide 100.9, your home for Alabama sports.
Has the pandemic affected your business? Even with more and more customers going online in the past 5 years, online business has grown greatly due to the pandemic. Now more than ever, it's important to have a strong online presence so that customers can find your business and products easily. That's where Townsquare comes in to help. Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free competitive analysis to see how your business stands up to the competition. And if you're one of the first to sign up, you'll get $500 in free advertising on this radio station. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
But we have a truck leaving with a big order on Tuesday.
Tina's floor manager retired, leaving her tortilla factory flat out.
What do you mean she's on a silent retreat?
She must fill the role and all those orders.
She's gonna oversee production.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Schedule virtual interviews and talk to candidates right from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Tuscaloosa Tire and Service, they've got the big brands you know and trust. Goodyear, Firestone, Bridgestone, Cooper, and they can finance for you as well. When you need routine maintenance and alignment, a tune-up, whatever it is, belts, hoses, just basic stuff, or when you don't know what's wrong with your car, truck, or SUV, make it Tuscaloosa Tire and Service. They're dependable, they're trustworthy. That's why they've lasted for over 36 years. Skyland Boulevard, McFarland Boulevard East in Northport on Lurleen Wallace Boulevard. Check out the website, TuscaloosaTireandService.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Clouds increasing this afternoon. Tuscaloosa's high 74. Cloudy tonight. Rain moving in. Most of that rain coming after midnight. The low at 56. Tomorrow, cloudy, noticeably cooler. Some light rain at times with a high at 64. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 65 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to Off the Edge on Tide 100.9.
Back here on Off the Edge, Tide 100.9, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide sports. So I want to talk about this because it's slightly relevant. A lot of rumors have floated around concerning my professional football team's head coach, Mike Tomlin, as far as going to LSU or USC. And, he got really fired up. And he answered his question, about the rumors. And first of all, you ask the guy so that he can put the rumors to bed. Now, listen, there's also the same side of this coin where Nick Saban once said just as vehemently as Mike Tomlin did that he will not be the head coach at Alabama. And here we are 15 years later. That being said, Saban didn't have 15 years of success with Miami to back his answer up on. So as a reporter, as a journalist, here's a little inside information. Your job is to ask the direct source of information about the rumor to see if, he can put it to bed, right? And the answer he's going to give, but here's the main crux of all this, right? Not my Twitter run. Mike Tomlin will not be the next head coach at LSU. Bank on it. Why in the world? Why in the world? If you're an LSU fan listening to this for whatever reason, why in the world would Mike Tomlin leave a place that has such good job security that he could have 3 straight losing seasons and still keep his job, because it'd be 3 more than he's ever had, to go try? Why would he leave that to go try to revive your program that has the culture that it has going on, that has been in the dumps the way it has been run into the ground? Why would he want to do that? He doesn't. On top of that, he'd have to face Nick Saban once a year. Who would want to do that either? Smart coaches have great jobs because they're smart. They avoid dumb situations. That's all the time we got here today. We'll talk with Joey Blackwell tomorrow, get his thoughts on the bye week, and continue the conversation. All of it right here on your home for Alabama Crimson Tide Sports, Tide 100.9. For Kim Rankin, I'm Jacob Harrison. The Jay Barker Show's up next. Y'all have a great day. Roll Tide.